BowTie Barbecue has always been a work of passion. It takes time, skill, and a blend of perfect temperature, wood, smoke, and meats. We just took it up a notch. Taste the passion. BowTie Barbecue, 6724 Waters Avenue, Savannah.
And welcome to the Danny Britt Show as we are live at BowTie Barbecue on this Wednesday afternoon. Of course, Thanksgiving tomorrow. Wishing you and yours a happy Thanksgiving as, again, you practiced on Thanksgiving, Coach Britt, and that's always been a goal of yours to come out and practice on Thanksgiving. But BowTie Barbecue, a great place to come ahead of time. Turkeys and things for Thanksgiving, they're smoking and available for you. And then if you're tired of turkey, come here tomorrow and get your fill prior to the football game coming up on Friday as you guys will be hosting North Oconee in the third round. But let's go back to last week. LaGrange comes in, Coach, a tremendous football program around the state. I think I saw something that said they had won 800 games or something. They had passed the 800 game mark as a program, so they've been around for a long time. And I got to say, came right out of the gate, and first play they had the ball in the ball game, went 60, 70 yards, got in the red zone, and then eventually punched it in. And somebody said you guys were kind of like Georgia Bulldogs. I guess they got to score 7 on you, and then you guys kind of turned it on from there. But you come out and you wait for that game, and give us your thoughts there quickly, down 7-0, and kind of what you saw on the sideline.
Yeah, like I said, after in our post-game show Friday night, we've got to change that. That's become our MO. It's just kind of coming out and feeling teams out and letting them go up, 7-0, 14-0, and then, boom, firing back. But, we're trying to change that. Now, we can't figure out exactly why that's happening. But LaGrange came out and kind of had it schemed up a little bit and, hit that big run early. And that young man was running really hard. I saw him. He was warming up before the game with his shirt off, man. That dude was jacked, certainly for a teenager. But anyway, we came back, very quickly and really kind of reestablished ourselves and felt like we, kind of dominated from that point forward. And
again, we were talking about it on the broadcast. I said you guys have done a good job seemingly all year long of you take a shot and you answer. And you guys came back and within 12 seconds had put one in the end zone.
Yeah, well, it helps throwing it to number 3 with Bryce Baker for sure. Just kind of threw a swing right out there to him and tackling him. And once he gets rolling, the open field is really hard to do. And so, yeah, we came right back and did it. And I, felt like, again, played really good defense after that initial drive. And kind of sometimes I think, too, with Coach Houston and what he does with that 3-4, it is very schematic. I mean, you're going to have to do certain things and kind of got to fill out and see where they're at and what you want to do to it. So it's not as much as back when I ran the 4-3. A lot of times we would just kind of have our checks and it would be a little more bass sound, and he's sending people in certain directions. So sometimes that has to do with him, as a defense coordinator, kind of filling it out and then making the adjustments he needs to.
I know you've done this for several years now, but still as a defensive guy, how easy is it, or I know you're very comfortable with Coach Houston, to kind of sit back and watch the defense take a body blow early and just say, okay, we're going to figure it out, versus, all right, this is what you start offering up suggestions? Has that been, obviously a multi-year process for you? How's that, especially getting a big game like last week?
I don't even remember the scenario really. So last week it didn't bother me a bit. Actually, that first drive with the kid, made a really long run. We played it just right. Wilkes had him dead to right because the guy made an incredible move on Wilkes. Wilkes has made 5 billion tackles like that, right. And I knew would come back and make it again and again and again. So I wasn't really that concerned. I said, hey, good job there. And then, but it is an issue. It's more of an issue for me in practice. I have to sometimes defense get involved with mess Coach Houston up, because I'm trying to say things and I've just learned keep my mouth shut. I'll go help run. Actually, what I'll do a lot of times, go help run the scout team and make sure the scout team's doing things correctly, because I draw up the cards and I develop the script and all and give it to Coach Houston. So I can help with that. That keeps me from getting in his recipe, so to speak. because it is very different what I did with the 4-3 and how I did it and what he does with the 3. We win. You don't win, you go home. So it's time to let Luke play. Time to let Bryce play. Let's cut this thing loose and see what we can do and how good we can be. And Luke loves it. I was talking to his father John today, and I said if he didn't have that cannon on the side of his, on his right shoulder, he would be a 5-star safety. He really would be. That's his mentality. That physically he's gifted there too. So I think it's good. And yeah, we want to see. Let's be the best team we can be. Now we try to be smart about it. The same with Bryce. In a number of carries and a number of touches, but it's time to go now. There's no more. What are we waiting for?
And you can see the dynamic. I know people will say, well, Coach, you got a 5-star quarterback, but you can see the dynamic when he's out there. He knocked somebody's head off last Friday. I mean, there's, as you said, there's no slowdown, but you can see the boost he brings to the back end of your defense when he's out there.
Well, first of all, you got to understand Luke's that guy. He's that guy. That's the term now the kids use. He's that guy that they feel better. He picks everybody up because he just has that mentality. I want to win. I want to play hard. I'm physical. Like he is the guy to make that happen. So yeah, he lifts everybody else up around him.
Offensively, I think we talked about it, myself and Stevie said what makes you guys so good is not only do you have great players, but I think in the first half, especially when you kind of were getting things going, 5-6 guys touched the football and made big plays. And I thought LaDon had a wonderful game at wide receiver. A couple of times he made great catches in traffic where, again, is to say, oh, man, he made great catch. But those are when you see how far LaDon's come, in my opinion, watching him at wide receiver, that's a catch where he knows he's going to get hit in traffic.
He did. He had a good game, and I felt like you're right. You've seen it. LaDon's come a long way. When he first started football, he wasn't a football player. He was a basketball player that came out and said, yeah, I'll play football too. I'm here. I want to be a part of this. And I remember having a conversation with him and saying, hey, you're 6'4", inside, I guess two player,
yeah.
In basketball, that's a dime a dozen. You're a 6'4" receiver who catches with. We're going to need him to continue to do that. But yeah, he had a big game. Didn't score a touchdown, but had I think 6 catches is what he ended up with, and just really did a good job for us.
And I think one that stands out to me, I'm trying to remember if it was the third quarter where Luke put one in a tight window and make that catch maybe 2 years ago. That may not be a catch he pulls in.
Oh, without a doubt. He's gotten better. He's learned to do that. He's learned that, hey, being playing football, you're going to take shots, take hits, and he's okay with that. So it's good. I got onto him in the game for another one, the deep ball Luke threw, which was a perfect pass, actually, and he didn't make the catch. It's like, oh, you got to make that catch. But the truth is now when I film, you go to film, and the DB had his arm bar. He had his and done, but and good by that DB. It didn't get called, and he did a good job of it. So I thought.
And tackles that are out there waiting for the hole to open, and when he does, obviously we all know what the speed can do.
Yeah, definitely not. Nas is a zone runner, inside outside zone type guy, and for anybody who may get this, who's a college recruiter, I've said it over and over again. I think he needs an offer. He's a good player there, and he's also 200 pounds of solid muscle, so he doesn't have to be running full speed to be able to take on a defender and shed him. He's so strong, slides well, and then yes, you're right. He's patient. Then when he accelerates, he's got great speed.
And then second half, I know talking to you, I said, look, we really didn't score a lot in the second half last week, but you did what you needed to do to get the game over, and that was probably for a number of reasons. Got pretty chippy. Obviously, we don't know what was being said way up there where we broadcast from, but it seemed like there were a couple of times where, from my standpoint, you're saying, okay, this game was getting on the verge of getting out of control in terms of the chippiness and some of the things that were being allowed to happen out there on the field.
Yeah, it got out of control, and I was a little too much. And I felt like for the most part our kids did good. We had one, personal foul where a guy just came in and took a guy out. Now after act was dumped, and I tell the kid in front of everybody, that one, I respect that, because hey, you mess with my brother, I'm coming after you. But also, it has to be done in a different way. We can't. They're going to always see that,
right.
and it's just penalizing us. So, but for the most part, I thought we handled that really well. And yes, what happened is we decided basically the entire fourth quarter, we just decided to kind of shut it down and just try to run the clock and just pound it out and get out of there.
And again, did a great job of that. And that's something that I think you've said this a lot. There's a lot of folks that will look at what you have offensively and say, just keep throwing it. And I could hear some calls from the stands. There were some people that wanted you to score late because of what had happened on the field. But you guys have been able to, in a lot of situations, eat a lot of clock when you needed to end games, put drives away, end halves, and go and score. And to me, obviously, that's probably a mark, probably from your standpoint, more of a veteran team than anything else. And
a good football team, good football program. That's it. We're balanced, and if you're going to stop one thing, we're going to have the other thing. If not, you talk about these kids, these quarterbacks who throw the ball 50 times a game, and they get so much praise and all that, and they're also throwing about as many interceptions as they are touchdowns. Well, that's not what we're going to be. We'll never be that. That's not what Benedictine is. We're going to be as balanced as we can, and when it's time, we took the game under control, and we just started running the clock and running the ball, and physically took over, and that's a sign of a good team.
We are live here at BowTie Barbecue on Waters, just off of Eisenhower, just up from Benedictine on this day before Thanksgiving, getting ready for North Oconee. Coach, we're having a little video issue with the commercial there, but I'll let you preview the game plan, the scouting report, if you will, for North Oconee, who's coming in here on Friday night for the day after Thanksgiving. The scouting report brought to you by
Abel's Iron on the BC fans for all the support over the years. Come out Friday and help the Cadets win what is sure to be a tough game.
And again, North Oconee coming here. You guys won the coin flip to make that trip for them possible to come down here. It's a team that folks remember 2 years ago. You guys actually played them twice, once in the regular season, once in the playoffs. In high school football, much like college football, a lot can change in just 2 seasons. How does this team, from what you've seen on film, compare to the team you saw 2 years ago?
Yes, the same coaching staff, very well coached. You can tell smart kids play really hard. I can tell they've been in the weight room. They have a good strength coach, and you can tell they're physically more imposing than they were at the time. I felt like that's something we had an advantage over them a couple of years ago. It may not have so much anymore, but they do a great job. They play really hard. Offensively, a lot of different stuff, a lot of different, formations and stuff. And then defensively, kind of the same thing, a lot of different looks, and they'll show you and do different things. And I know we'll get into more detail in just a minute about that, but they're a very good football team, a very good football program. Coach Arndt does a great job with them. And so it's going to be a battle.
Offensively, what are they going to kind of throw at you? I know a couple years ago they do a lot of what a lot of schools do now, which is going to try to spread you out and get the numbers on you.
What they do is they're trying to get numbers or an angle and everything by formation, and they run ridiculous amounts of formation. I quit drawing cards. Coach Allison started laughing and said that may be the most. He said ever. It wasn't ever. I think that that goes back to like 2013. I think, but I digress. But a lot of different formations, and they're just trying to. All they're trying to do is get you focused in on that to kind of smoke and mirrors type thing to get you to look away and then, get the angle somewhere else. And what we have to do, honestly, is just decide, okay, we got to be able to line up. And I think we've done a great job of that. And, get in position and then physically pound them. They can do all that, but then you still got to block. A has to block B, and then the guy has to make a tackle. So we're going to do that, and hopefully do it better than they do.
And again, quarterback wise, what kind of arm you're looking at, and what kind of pass run ratio have you guys been able to discern on tape?
They are 66% run. Quarterback does a lot of the running. He's number 4. If you remember, 2 years ago, he was the sophomore that came in, and they were using. So they had 3 different quarterbacks. One, I think, who was big time recruited, and something had happened. So the other quarterback was number 5, I believe, 2 years ago, and 4 would come in and basically run the offense, and then 5 would come in and pass it. Matt Cromenhawk ended up knocking him out of the game early in the fourth quarter, and 4 kind of finished it out for him. But 4 had a good game against us that night. He's tough. He's really quick. He's a shorter, stockier fella, but is a very good football player. Max Wilson is his name. 5'10", 190, and he can run, he can throw, but running and being physical is more of his personality than just sitting back throwing it.
Offensive line wise, how do they stack up? Are they big? Are they more smaller and quick? How do you kind of evaluate what they're throwing at you up front?
Definitely smaller than what we saw last week. With everybody pretty much being over 300 pounds, but very, very well coached. They're going to do what they do well. Again, everything they're trying to do is get angles and get double teams when they can, get help with an H-back or help with a running back and that sort of thing. So not as physically gifted as what we've seen in a lot of the teams that we've played, but very well coached and play extremely hard and play at a pretty good leverage.
Defensively, what are you guys going to be looking at, a kind of a carbon copy of yourself, or what do you kind of think they're going to try to throw at you?
No, they're different. They are a 3-4 type look, but a little bit smaller up front than what we've seen. Kind of like last week, they're going to be working a lot of games, working a lot of angles and stuff, and hopefully we can keep them off of our shins a little more than we did last week. And I'm going to talk to the officials about that, and they'll play a lot of 3-4. I mean, a lot of cover 3 and cover 4 to the different formations that we provide.
Again, how did anybody they kind of compare to with what you've seen this year? Are they kind of doing their own thing?
A lot of actually very comparable to LaGrange in what they did defensively. Very, very similar, I think.
Special teams, I know we talk about it a lot here on this show week in and week out, and it's such a weapon for you guys that I'd like to see if it's something that another team can throw at you and turn the field in the punt game or the kick game. What are you guys kind of expecting to see out of the special teams from North Oconee?
They are very good in special teams, and that's something most weeks we'll win, and it's going to be hard for us to win it. I mean, we're going to have to be really good to win it this week. Number 18 is their kicker and punter, and unless there's a strong wind, he can put it in the end zone every time. If it gets a little wind in his face, they'll do a few different things, but hopefully we can get a return if we get that scenario. Very well coached, again, in that area, and a lot of things they do. 18 also punts, 40-yard average, so very good there. And so they do a great job in special teams, not just the specialist, but the guys running down, the guys blocking, they, really hard. And we're going to, have to be more physical in that capacity too. And you're going to have to have a great game by our specialists to be able to win it.
Coach, you said a number of times about this team, physical. I know that's something you want to be all the time. Might this be one of the more physical games you've seen at least in a couple of weeks, or how was that last week?
I really hope it is one of the most physical. I hope this is the most physical game we had all year. We've talked about it. We've preached it with our kids. This is time. This is how we win this football game, as we go out there and we absolutely lighten them up and physically take control of the game.
And again, Thanksgiving tomorrow. I know we've talked about a goal to everybody around the state says we want to still be practicing on Thanksgiving. And what has this week been like? No school this week, but what is a Thanksgiving week like leading up to a playoff game?
This is one of my favorite weeks of the year because we get to practice football, and those teachers leave us alone, and we don't need no education. Leave those kids alone. I'm joking, of course, but it is fun because we don't have school, and that their only focus is practice. The kids love being able to come in early in the morning, practice, get it over with, and go enjoy their day and do whatever they get to do, and fish, whatever, hunt, whatever they like to do, and so. I love it. It's been a great week. I felt like Monday and Tuesday was a lot of really good energy. We push the sled on Monday and do a lot of conditioning. The varsity guys, the 35 varsity guys, we absolutely wore their legs out Monday. So I pulled off conditioning on Tuesday. And so we've had good practices. A little wet this morning. Looks like it's going to be a little chilly tomorrow, which is perfect for Thanksgiving. And but we've enjoyed it, and the kids have had a great mentality.
And again, practicing tomorrow on Thanksgiving. I know what all do you guys do there? I know every program does it differently. How do you guys handle the Thanksgiving Day practice?
We'll start a little earlier. We'll start at 8:00. I usually start practice at 9:00 the rest of the week, but so that they can get home and be with their parents or grandparents, whatever. But we'll go 2 hours. We'll do, our normal Thursday practice, which is, helmet and, practice pack only. And just go through every scenario, 2-minute offense, goal line, defense, all the special team scenarios. Do that. And it's so physically, it's pretty easy practice. It's just, got to focus in and get through all those things. And we'll come together. We'll let the seniors say a little bit of what they're thankful for and cut them loose and tell them how important it is to be practicing on that day and go enjoy the day with their family and then get ready for Friday. Get ready for battle.
Coach, obviously, this is a spot your seniors have been in a lot. They played a lot of football. Do you ever look at the freshmen and sophomores who are going through this maybe the first time or the first time getting some varsity run here and kind of watch their expressions and their body language and what they're like when it gets to this point? Because now, even if you don't play a whole lot, you're like, man, I know we talk about winning, but dang, we're getting down to it. Do you notice a change in some of those guys when you get to a week like this that maybe haven't played a lot or are just now starting to get in on this run for the first time with you guys?
Definitely see it, I think, in a number of ways. Now, I will say this freshman class, we cut about 20 of them loose to go to other sports and because we were done with the sub-varsity. But we've kept a lot who were on scout team, a few on special teams, but a lot of them honestly just serving scout team, which is an honor, actually to be a freshman and asked to do that. This freshman class is pretty on point. They are not showing much sign of fading. Which I'm proud of. Now, some of the other guys who aren't playing very much, who are a little bit older, have started to do it. And here's where else I see it, just being honest, is in the parents. Sometimes the parents start saying, well, I'm always taking you up here, and I can see that a little bit too. And that's it. It's just got to be a total mentality of we are in this thing. And, if you're not into that, don't come to benediction.
Absolutely. All right, Coach, we got a few minutes left here before we have to wrap it up here. But I know we're getting down to it in the college season. What does that mean for your guys? I know in the last couple of weeks we've seen Third Scroggins pick up a couple of offers. You mentioned trying to get one for Nasir Samuel. What does this turn into? I know your focus is football, but obviously for certain guys, they say, hey, in a couple of weeks, it might be a signing day or looking ahead to February. What is it looking like there? Are you hearing more from colleges as they now say, hey, we got one game left, maybe a bowl game, and that's it?
Yeah, definitely. They've started back, calling me again and saying, certainly if we can get through this week and play next week, there'll be a lot of colleges at practices and different things. So they'll be coming back around the next 3 weeks, really. And so I'm excited about that and get these guys some looks and kind of find people some homes.
I guess the on-field play speaks for itself as it's concerned. I know this is the last year of the super seniors from the COVID year, as you will. Have you seen a change, transfer portal, and just how many guys are looking at guys, or has that changed at all over the last couple of years? I know people say, well, with the abundance of transfer portal, maybe high school guys aren't going to get as much opportunity. Has that been true, or is that more of a talking point? How have you kind of seen?
That's been very true. Very, very true. The Luke Cromenhawks of the world doesn't matter. That hasn't changed. That is what it is. But the mid-major type guys, it has changed completely. The FCS guys have changed completely because they're all going into portal. And here's the other thing. I sent it to some of my seniors last week and saying that, 2 weeks from now, the transfer portal opens. And when that happens, basically, if those people hadn't committed, they're losing their spot because they're going to go get people in transfer portal. So they need to find their homes and go commit to them.
All right, we got Thanksgiving coming up tomorrow, Coach. What does the Thanksgiving plate look like for Coach Britt?
Stephanie asked me yesterday morning. It was 5:30 a.m. and I was trying to leave the house. She said, "What do you want for Thanksgiving?" And I'm like, "I don't care." She said, "Well, you got to tell me something." And I said, "Okay, I don't want to have to think about it. I just want to come home." So her mother's here, and Sailor is here. Southern is coming in. She's flying in about an hour. And so I know it'll be turkey and dressing, whatever else. I don't really care. But I know here's what happened. When I get home from practice, it will be an absolute mess. There'll be stuff everywhere because they would have started cooking about 9 a.m. and drinking mimosas about 9 a.m. So the music will be blasting. It'll be a lot of fun, and the food will be great, too. So I'm excited.
And if it's in front of you,
you'll eat it. I'll eat it, baby. I like everything. I don't like hominy. If you know what hominy is, I don't like hominy, and I don't like beets. Other than that, I like pretty much everything, as my stomach will show you.
Do you get a nap in on Thanksgiving?
Oh, yeah, I got to get a nap.
Got to get ready, and then obviously prepared for North Oconee coming up on Friday. Right there at Memorial Stadium, get out and support the cadets as they enter the third round. And again, we'll get to this as need be, but a win, and you'll have to go on the road in the playoffs, but you got to take care of business first on Friday there. Memorial Stadium, we'll have the call for you right here on WatchBCSports.com. Again, thanks to BowTie Barbecue for having us here. Hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Coach Britt, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family, and we will see you Friday there at Memorial Stadium for North Oconee and Benedictine right here on WatchBCSports.com.
Awesome.